Welcome to Conversations with Kay, where I just tell it like it is. I'm back! Yay! As some of you know, I went on vacation to Put-in Bay, little island here in Ohio. We were so excited to go. I gotta say, it was not one of the better vacations I've had, but you know what? We made the best of it, and we still had a good time, and just to get away from work and all the craziness on YouTube, it was still worth it. The problem is they don't tell you when you book your trip that half the stuff is still not open there because of COVID and labor shortages. So that was kind of a bummer. I mean, it was very hard to get food there, talking waits and not very good food. So, yeah, and then we went to the public swimming beach, which was just a disaster. Looked like it hadn't been maintained in about 10 years. I don't know. How do you have an island with no beach to swim off of? So anyway, we had a good time. We got a lot of rest. That was good. Like I said, hubby and I just make the best of everything, and we chalked it up to never have to go back there again. So sometimes you just got to go with the flow. So since I've been home, I've been trying to catch up at the store and then trying to stay with what's happening on YouTube and Twitter. It's a lot, let me tell you. I have started this video like 10 times. I couldn't decide, should I do a video, should I do a live? So what I'm going to do is this video just to get my thoughts and feelings out, and then we'll do a live. But this way I can stay focused on just what I want to say. The craziness that has ensued since that live I did with Little Miss Nobel, it's just been sheer craziness. I can't even believe myself all this has happened. But the good thing is it brought out a lot of people that were hiding. Now we know who they are. We see you. A lot of disgusting stuff. This has been one of the most disturbing things I have ever seen happen on the internet. And I've seen a lot over the years, let me tell you, because, you know, I'm an older woman and I have been on the internet since it was first invented. So I have seen a lot. And I will, without a doubt, say this is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. Many of you the ones of you who have followed me from the beginning, you know I have always said that this stuff was getting way too toxic and it was starting to be disturbing. And I warned many of my viewers, don't get too close, stay back away from it. Don't let this leak into your real life. This is why. What we are seeing now is why. Because I have seen some people who weren't that involved but got accused because of things they did. And I've done this myself. But it's that old thing of, you know, the people you hang with. You're known by the people you hang with. So if you were hanging with some of these people, you were suspect. You may still be suspect. And this is, you know, this all goes back for me, because I've only been around for like a year, to the video that was made about the essay, Katie's essay. And you all can go back and watch my video where I said that was one of the most disgusting things I had ever seen, and I wanted nothing to do with anybody that was a part of it. Just disgusting. I still feel that same way right now. Never, ever would I ever say that was okay under any circumstances. So now people are trying to come back and revisit that all over again and trying to make it seem like it's okay. It will never be okay. Anybody that thinks it's okay should never follow me. I've been very clear that there are lines that should never be crossed, and every line has been crossed with this group. The harassment, the real life stuff that went on is never okay. It doesn't matter if it's Katie or me or Charlotte or whoever it is. It's never okay. And here's the problem with this, and this is what we're seeing now. Once people think it's okay to go real life, and they use the excuse of, oh, it's okay because it's Katie. But then it becomes open season on anybody and everybody. And that's what we're seeing now. People that really have nothing to do any, not a great deal to do with anything, are getting doxxed. People want to pull semantics here like Little Miss Noble did and define what a dox is. I don't care how you define it. If you're outing people's information that they have asked you not to, then you're doxing. It's simple. We don't want to split hairs about it. You can make all the excuses you want. It's still wrong. So this is the problem, because now people are seeing they're getting attacked. Their private information is getting released. And this is why you should never, ever say it's acceptable to have it done to anybody, because the next person could be you. So now I want to talk about Twitter and me and Katie. I had never blocked her on Twitter. She had never blocked me. But we didn't follow each other. I never interacted with her Twitter, so she never really had a reason to block me. So then after I released the Little Miss Noble video, she started following me, and I let her. Because I felt so strongly that these horrible things that were being done to her and all this crap being brought back up, that she deserved to see it. So I let her, and I don't care. And anybody who has a problem with it, then you have a problem with it. I did talk to Katie. We were talking in messages about the live we were going to do together. And I want to clear this up right here. Because people were saying, why? Because I posted on Twitter. This is how this happened, okay? Katie and I were talking late the night before. And I said to Katie, I think we should stick to only the subject at hand. Otherwise, the live will go crazy and there'll be no controlling it. And it will go in so many directions, it'd just be a mess. So we'll say we're going to do a live together, and we're only going to stick to this situation with Little Miss Noble, Nat, etc. And she said yes. And then I went to bed, so I didn't post that we were going to do a live together. Because you guys know I go to bed early because I have to get up early and go to work. So the next morning, she had already posted we were going to go live, and she said, and we're only going to stick to this subject. So then I posted we were going to go live. And again, I said, we're only going to talk about this subject. And I said, this is where I really messed up. I said, anybody who has any questions for Katie, send them to me. Meaning, message them to me. But people took that to mean to just post it right there in the thread. Which was not at all what I meant. But again, it was early in the morning. I'm always in a rush, trying to get to work. So then people start going, well, why are you letting Katie dictate what you're going to talk about in your live? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, she said you're only going to stick to this subject. And I was like, no, that was not dictated by Katie. That was my idea. And Katie agreed. So let's keep it straight here. Let's not get it crooked. So there was that whole mess. And then people kept, on my Twitter, they were posting all these questions that had nothing to do with the subject at hand, which is, I knew was what would happen in that live is exactly what happened on my Twitter. So yeah, I should have been more specific and said message these questions to me. But I thought by saying send them to me, not post them here, people would understand. They didn't. So I think it was maybe the next day or that night, Katie canceled the live, saying this was her attorney advised her not to talk about it, and she's not going to go live with me, which I kind of figured was going to happen once people started posting on my Twitter and posting all these questions that had nothing to do with that and Little Miss Noble and all that. So I kind of figured that was going to happen. I was not surprised at all. So I was just like, okay, so then, you can't edit a Twitter post, so I posted and said, Katie has canceled the live, we're not going live. So, the bad thing is that Katie then went on to talk about it over and over on her Twitter and is still talking about it. So, it is what it is. That's just Katie. So, have I been talking to her in private messages? Yes, I absolutely have. Have I given her anything? No, because I don't have anything to give. I'm not in these groups. I have always, and I told Katie this, I've never been in any of these groups. I've always been on the outside looking in. That is my choice to be that way. I specifically do not get involved with these other groups. because so many of them I never agreed with what they were doing. And the other thing is, I'm just very busy. People who know me know I run two different businesses. I don't have time to be joining any little groups, but I didn't want to. I have always just sat back and observed what other people are doing. So if you notice, I'm never close with any other creators. I don't have big friendships with other creators or any of that. Just never have. I'm always suspicious. I think this comes to, again, my age. I have seen a lot over my years, especially on the internet. So I don't trust anybody on the internet. So there you go. So yes, Katie and I have talked in messages. I don't see any big deal with it, but if anybody has a problem with it, that's okay too. What I saw was a woman hurting so badly, just devastated over all this stuff coming out after the Little Miss Nobel video. And the more I saw of what came out, I was so disgusted and so upset. And I have lots of empathy for Katie, what she's going through, what they have put her through for the last couple of years. Yeah, I do. I have empathy for her. I have talked to her. I tried to give her advice, but she didn't really take it, and that's okay too. Katie's got her way of doing things, and that's the way she's going to do it. It's what she knows. That's just Katie. So I've kind of given up trying to give her advice, and that's okay. Maybe some people just don't want advice. They just want to do what they do. And that's what it is. But I came to find out a lot of the things Katie has been saying over the past year that I've been around were true. Now, I haven't seen 100% proof of everything, but I've seen a lot of proof. And I'm not going to share it because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to show screenshots or anything else because that's not why I was talking to Katie. I wasn't talking to her to get information. I was talking to her to be supportive of another human being who I felt like was going through something horrible and still is. So, I don't know. People might have a problem with that. If you do, let me know. We can talk about it tonight in my live. I am going live tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. It is what it is. I have empathy for her. I always will. I always have had empathy for her. Does that mean I agree with everything she does or did? No, I do not. If we go back, you all know my main thing was using minors for content. I hate it. I don't like anybody doing it. But did she deserve what this group has done to her? No. And this is, we're really seeing this week, this group going after all these other people. Some people not even very involved in anything, and people are threatening now to release their backgrounds, their history, their names. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. And this is why I tell you guys, you have to say it's wrong for Katie or they'll do it to anybody, including you. So, and this is why I've always said too, don't get involved. Don't get into these specific groups that I'm talking about. I've always said this community has some of the best people I've ever met. And I will always say that. I know Katie thinks it's all bad. It's not. I've met some great people. Some of you helped me with Emily. I've met great people on here. But this is what I keep saying. It's not one community. It's really like 3 subsets of groups within one community. Nobody ever talks about this, but I divide it in 3. I'll say there's the left side that reads and watches videos but isn't very invested. They just like to read and hear about it, and they'll comment every now and then or maybe not comment at all. And they really don't care. They're just kind of watching. Then there's the extreme right group. And this is the group I have the problem with. The extreme right group is so hateful and so disgusting and so nasty and yes, evil. And they don't care what line they cross. They will do anything to take Katie down, to make her look bad. They don't care. And this is this group that started all of this with Nat and the threatening emails, all that. And then you have the group in the middle, which I feel like is my people, who don't want minors being used for content, who have issues with some of the things Katie has done, but they don't want her to be threatened. They don't think people should go real life. That's that middle group. And I feel like that's where I've always been. And even tending a little more to the left, because I just don't think it's worth wrapping your whole life up in what Katie does. And this is, I tell people all the time, don't get involved, don't get your name in there, don't get too close to these people, don't let it affect your real life. And now we see it's affecting a lot of people's real life. It's just crazy the lengths this has gone. And I do think we're really close to outing all the names. I think a lot of you have seen a lot of names mentioned, and I think they're within a week or so of probably saying who it is, and hopefully something will get done about it. I had tweeted this the other day, I think yesterday. Look at all the deflection going on the last 2 weeks. All this deflection going on, going after Charlotte, revisiting Katie's essay reports, bringing all this old stuff back up, now all the flag stuff brought back up. Why is that? Why is all this deflection going on? And what happened during this week and a half, 2 weeks of deflection? For a while, everybody stopped talking about Little Miss Noble and Nat, right? Everybody stopped talking about who was behind all this. So the deflection worked. Because for the last whatever, that's all everybody's talked about is Katie's report again, Charlotte, doxing, all that stuff again. So their deflection has worked for a little bit, but I think it's come full circle. Now we're back to who is behind all of it. Who is it? Because, see, I never believed Nat was the ringleader. Come on now. No. Nat just appeared out of nowhere. And I did ask Katie this. I was like, when did you first notice her? Did you talk to her? Was she a sub of yours? Did you maybe make her mad? And Katie's like, no, she just appeared out of nowhere. And here we are. And I believe that. I do believe that. But I believe there's somebody behind Nat that put Nat up to a lot of this or helped her, whatever, however you want to put it. Because there's just no reason why Nat would have gone like this. And then when you read and hear some of the things Little Miss Noble said, you know there's more people behind this. And where is Little Miss Noble now? Nobody wants to talk about that anymore either. So, yeah, it's been crazy. I just hope people know to stay out of it. I'm going to remind people again, too, that when you tweet on Twitter or you comment on a YouTube video, if you're using your real name and you're using real pictures, these are public spaces. So they will, like, not just me, like any YouTuber, any magazine, anything can use your tweet or your comment or whatever. So if you don't want people seeing your real name or your real pictures or whatever, don't use them. Only use stuff like that if you've got a family page and you're only talking to family. When you're going to comment on controversial things, don't use your real information. That's my PSA for the day. So I guess what I want to wrap up with, because there's just too much to put in a video. So any questions anybody has, I'll answer tonight to the best that I can. And I want to say this. Katie has proof and outed people who have tried to act very innocent. Like they did never do anything wrong. They never crossed a line. And then yet Katie has the screenshots to prove they did. I think a lot of people are getting scared right now. A lot of people jumping in my DMs. I'm going to say this. If you had nothing to do with it, you have nothing to fear. If you did have something to do with it, even if you weren't a major player, but you helped, and you have information, in my opinion, you should hand it over. Because the people that helped and handed it over will be the ones that don't get in as much trouble. And that's just the dang truth. So, if you're withholding information or... I think there's a lot of scared people out there. I think a lot of people never meant to get in this deep. and they're scared to death this is going to affect their real life. And if you help these people, it may affect your real life. So your best bet is to just hand it over and be done with it. You know, the ones that come up first are usually gone the lightest. They get in the least amount of trouble because they fessed up. The ones that continue to lie and say they had nothing to do with it when they know they did will probably be the ones in the worst trouble. I hate seeing people so stressed out. I have seen more stressed out people in the last week because they got too close to this. They got their name involved when they should have just sat back and stayed out of it. It's one of those things, look but don't touch. That's my advice. Look but don't touch. Another thing I want to comment on is Unirock. I don't know him very well. Just kind of, I don't even watch him or anything. I just know he's been involved with Katie and then not, and whatever. He's got his own agenda too. He hates Steve, so there's always going to be that whole thing. And now he's white knighting for Charlotte. He comes up with this post on Twitter that he says proves everything he's saying. I'm not saying Unirock is wrong, because I don't know 100% either way if he's right or wrong. But the proof he's using, this screenshot off Twitter, and I posted this to him, Katie clearly said when she posted this screenshot, don't assume this is Jennifer. This is a spoof account. But Unirock posts it like it's the gospel. Like this is a real post from Jennifer fessing up to what she did. But it's not. It's a spoof account. So I wish Unirock would address that. He ignored what I said on Twitter. So I don't know. Maybe that doesn't fit in with his agenda. And I don't know him. He's probably a great guy, whatever. But just remember, this is what I'm using this to make a point, is everybody seems to have their own agenda in here. I really don't, because I don't have a part in any of it. So I don't have an agenda. I don't have a real side or a group or whatever. But it just seems to me like everybody's using this for their own agenda or to make money or to get subs. Yeah. Sometimes it really is about that, which makes me sad, but you know, people do what they got to do, I guess. They got to get that money and get that sub count up. And sometimes they'll do whatever it takes to get those two things. But here's what I always say at the end of the day. Who had the most hate for Katie? Who had the biggest vendetta against her? Who had the most to gain off all of this? And what is your answer? Let me know tonight, 7 o'clock. Have a wonderful day and hold your family close.